Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I think we have audio now. Okay. As I was trying to tell you, but we had no audio, we are having some technical problems off the top of the program tonight, mainly because there were internet issues here again. Thank you, Bell Canada, Bell Media, for the lousy internet service. However, let's just start from the top then, shall we? We have a lot of ground to cover tonight. We are going to give you the most up-to-date information on the Cybertruck fire and explosion investigation outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. We'll give you the up-to-date information on the standoff that we reported on last night in Las Vegas. with a person armed with a knife on a bus. We'll give you the latest information on the New Orleans terror attack. And yes, it is being classified as a terrorist attack. We'll give you the latest info on that. And with all of that being said, I really hope that everyone remains calm, because it's been a crazy 48 plus hours with all of these different incidents, a lot of speculation out there, some people trying to link this to that and that to this, and there is all kinds of concern about terrorism on domestic soil and your safety, public safety. We're in a state of war, really, and then you get these incidents out there, and some people want to do crazy things, or they're worried that crazy things are going to happen. And the important thing to remember, folks, is that you have to keep a level head all the time. Don't panic. All is going to be okay. And as more information has been coming in through the day today, it has become clear that these different incidents can be viewed through a very rational lens, including the other incident that happened overnight, this mass shooting outside a Queens nightclub in New York, which some people were immediately thinking that that's connected to that, and there were Twitter Spaces going on overnight. And just stick with me, man, because there are some people out there who are exploiting this series of incidents again on social media for political purposes, and in some cases to just get clicks. But stay calm. We're going to make it, and it's not exactly as it appears to be sometimes when you first get the information. As I even said last night, it's most important to be correct about things, be right, rather than be first, and it's important not to jump to conclusions. We're going to drill down and get you the best information we can tonight on all of these incidents so that we can all keep it in perspective. All right, so yes, the investigation continues tonight into the terrorist attack in New Orleans, and it is being called a terrorist attack, but we do know more about the driver of the truck that was used to kill some 30 people in New Orleans along Bourbon Street area. And there was we just had an updated news conference. We're going to take you there to get you the most up-to-date information from police, from the governor, from first responders, public officials, FBI, and then we'll comment on this. And we've also got other major news tonight, including an announcement from former cabinet minister, Liberal cabinet minister, Marco Mendicino, who, another big Trudeau asset, he's not going to run for re-election. We'll tell you why as this broadcast continues. We've got that coming up as well. So stick with us on that. But here we go to New Orleans.
Reminding the citizens of Louisiana that as you travel around the state, you will see the flags of all state buildings at half-mast in honor of those lives that were lost in this horrific act of violence. I also think that it's important to remember that what happened yesterday was akin to those who are old enough to remember jigsaw puzzles. And that you would take a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and you empty the box, and you've got to start sifting through those pieces. And you want to start, if you're real good, you start at the corners, right? Try to put your corners together. And from yesterday to today, over 1,000 law enforcement agents and officers, men and women, have been poring over countless amounts of data, of videos, of surveillances, interviews, tracking down every possible lead that came to us, whether it was the New Orleans Police Department, the Louisiana State Police, the FBI, or our other federal agencies. Also, yesterday, I issued an emergency declaration. That declaration was meant to streamline resources and communications between state, local, and federal partners. And we're seeing the results of it. I also would like to remind everyone that what's going on in this city and this state is twofold. We've got an active criminal investigation going on, while we're also continuing to secure the city in preparation for 3 o'clock kickoff time for the Sugar Bowl. With that, I would also remind those who are in the city that as far as state resources are concerned, we have the Louisiana State Police, the Louisiana National Guard, which was part of that emergency declaration, which allowed us to put an entire MP company on the ground. Those become force multipliers, is what we call that in law enforcement and the military. That helps to add to the resources that we have. Wildlife and Fisheries, the Department of Corrections, DSF, DHS, our Veterans Affairs, our Probation and Parole, all state agencies. Any state agency who has a post-certified officers are here in this city to help secure the city.
This is the governor
so
speaking,
with that,
by the
I
way.
would like to turn it over to Christopher Rea, who is the Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI's Counter Terrorism Division. Chris?
Thank you, Governor Landry. Good morning. I am FBI Deputy Assistant Director Christopher Rea. I'm from our Counterterrorism Division at headquarters. I'm also joined by Assistant Special Agent in Charge Alethea Duncan from our New Orleans office, who you heard from yesterday. I'm here to discuss not only the latest investigative information we have here in New Orleans, but I'll also let you know about other investigative activities outside of the state. I first, and most importantly, want to send our deepest condolences to the victims of this horrific attack and their loved ones. 14 innocent victims were killed in this senseless attack, and at least 35 are injured. We cannot ease the grief people in this community and across the nation are feeling at this time, but rest assured, we stand with you and in support of you. All the resources, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later, all the resources of the FBI are being focused on tracking down every piece of evidence, every lead, every interview, every potential lead we've got. While I won't be able to answer all your questions today, my goal is to be as forthcoming as possible with you on what we've uncovered so far. First and foremost, let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act. This was obviously a critical incident, and with that, lots of information and tips come pouring in from law enforcement, first responders, and the public. We have been aggressively running down these tips and information. As you all know, that takes time, and we will continue to do so until every lead has been followed through on. This investigation is only a little more than 24 hours old. So I ask you to keep in mind that as I go through some of the specifics later. But at this point, currently, and this is another fact I want to be clear on, we do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack except for Shamsa Din Jabbar, the subject you've already been briefed on.
So he says that he's acted alone
A little
now,
bit about what the
changed his
FBI is doing.
position.
So we are surging people and assets to the area from across the region and across the nation. Special agents in multiple field offices across the country have been deployed and are assisting with potential aspects of this investigation and following up on every lead. Additional teams of special agents, professional staff, and victim specialists continue to arrive to provide more investigative power and assistance to the victims and their families. We have also forward deployed a number of our critical incident response group assets, including members of our hostage rescue team, special agent bomb technicians, and crisis management coordinators. In addition, we have deployed more evidence response technicians to continue to process the various scenes that we have. So far, we have received just over 400 tips from the public, and that information is being followed up on both here in New Orleans and across the country. Some of the tips are here in New Orleans, and there are other tips in other states across the country that we are following up on. The FBI team and our law enforcement partners here are also reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance and other video from both the French Quarter and other locations. As for a timeline, at this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament. FBI and ATF. FBI, we have a couple different scenes at the location. We have released the scene at Bourbon Street. That scene has been released. We also have a scene off of Mandeville address where we're currently searching that scene right now. FBI and ATF agents have secured that house, and that location is being searched for potential evidence. On New Year's morning, Jabbar opened fire after ramming through a blocked-off area of Bourbon Street, used his truck as a weapon to run over the victims. Teams of specially trained victim specialists, again, as I said, are on the ground here in New Orleans, assisting survivors of the attack and loved ones of the deceased. We do not believe the public is in any danger around any of these locations. 3 phones linked to Jabbar have been recovered, and digital media exploitation is a priority to see what is on the devices and determine if there are any other potential leads. Additionally, we have recovered 2 laptops and are currently reviewing them for any potential leads. Those laptops were recovered at the Mandeville address. Evidence technicians will also be going over the F-150 truck Jabbar was driving. As you know, we recovered an ISIS flag from the back of the vehicle. Jabbar declared his support for the terrorist group on social media, as I stated before, as he made his way to New Orleans. FBI bomb technicians also recovered 2 IEDs in coolers, one from the cross-section of Bourbon and Orleans Street, and the second at an intersection approximately 2 blocks away. There were multiple reports of other devices. Those reports turned out to be misinformation or not actual functioning devices. Those are the only 2 devices that we've been able to recover that were functional. Both devices were rendered safe on scene. We did obtain surveillance footage showing Jabbar placing the devices where they were found. Two other, as I said before, two other items of interest were determined not to be IEDs. A little bit about Jabbar. Jabbar himself was born in the United States and is a U.S. military veteran. We are looking in everything in his life. While we have interviewed many people who know Jabbar, we still need to talk to others. Whether you know Jabbar personally, worked with him, served in the military, or saw him in New Orleans or Texas, we need to talk to you. You may not think you have relevant information, but what you know could tie in to one of our investigative leads. Specifically, we want to talk to anyone who was in the French Quarter on New Year's Eve or early on New Year's Day. That includes people spotted near one of the two IEDs on Bourbon Street. The IED was inside a cooler, and many people stopped and looked at the cooler and then continued on their way. Let's be clear, again, we do not believe at this point these people are involved in this incident in any way. We want to speak to them as witnesses and want to know what they saw and when. I went down to the crime scene last night. It is very hard to put into words what it looked like and how difficult it was to see. Anyone with information can call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI or send digital tips to fbi.gov/Bourbon Street attack. Early this morning, evidence response teams finished their work at the crime scene. Bourbon Street has been turned over to the city of New Orleans. As you know, there's also an FBI investigation in Las Vegas. We are following up on all potential leads and not ruling everything out. However, at this point, there is no definitive link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas. And again, I'll preface everything with what I started with in the beginning, which was this is very early in an investigation like this. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims of this tragedy and everyone impacted across the country. They remain at the heart of our investigation. I also, although I've only been on the ground here a short time, I also want to express a sincere appreciation for our partners here, which include the U.S. Attorney's Office, HSI, ATF, the New Orleans PD, the Louisiana State Police, the Governor's Office, and countless others. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the Special Agent in charge of ATF here, Josh Jackson.
So now saying
Hey, good afternoon. As stated, my name is Joshua Jackson. I am the Special Agent in charge for the ATF New Orleans Field Division. And ATF's primary mission is preventing, reducing, and solving violent crime throughout the United States and abroad. Solving part is the focus of this investigation. ATF resources that have been brought to bear to the city and to focus with our federal, state, and local partners have been our national response team. We spoke about the scene that's still being processed now. The national response team of ATF is a team of certified fire investigators, certified explosive specialists, fire engineers, electrical engineers. These folks will give us additional investigative leads to help the investigative team identify what happened at the location in Mandeville and identify how that fire started and move the investigation forward from there. Additional resources that ATF has brought to bear into the city. As our ATF Special Response Team, this is a tactical team capable of handling any sort of enforcement operation. This team is deployed, on set, and ready for the Sugar Bowl today. This team is also made available to the Louisiana State Police and also New Orleans Police Department to assist with any efforts that they may have during this period. Additional resources, as the governor alluded to, he executed executive powers and had an emergency declared to where ATF was able to tap in to Emergency Support Function 13 resources. This allowed us to bring additional explosive detection canines so that we can safely sweep the city and safely sweep the Super Bowl in preparation for the game today. These resources will still be in the city as we lead up to the Super Bowl and through Mardi Gras. These type of ATF resources will be here. The last resources the ATF has brought to bear, and probably the most important one, is our victim witness coordinators. These folks come in and they provide resources to the victims and the family members that have suffered greatly during this tragedy. The entire city hurts, but the victims and the family members are in need of resources and care long after this investigation wraps up. This time next year, to be hard for the families and friends who suffered during this event. So our victim witness coordinators are working with the FBI, the City of New Orleans coordinators to provide resources to these folks out here. And as we move forward, ATF will be committed. We will work with the investigative team moving this investigation forward, but also we'll be here to make sure the city is safe and prepared as we move into the Super Bowl. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our mayor of this great city, New Orleans. Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull out of this for a moment, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you a local news report now from Channel 6 WDSU, because of course, you know, the Sugar Bowl is kicked off, and the city's trying to function and heal as it mourns. So let's just take a look at this. And the investigation is evolving. And, well, you just heard the details there from investigators. So let's get some additional perspective on this now from this report from Channel 6.
You want to work through the hard issues of understanding what's there, but also try to have a return to normalcy.
And that's what they did here tonight, return to normalcy.
Yeah, and right now Notre Dame is beating Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, but again, the game is secondary. Now, speaking of the fans that came for this game, WDSU sports reporter Kendall Duncan caught up with them pregame to ask them, do they feel safe? Did you feel safe coming to a game one day after a terror attack in this city?
Now, if there was really one message echoed all morning and afternoon from both Bulldog and Irish fans, it's that they felt safer here at the Superdome than really anywhere else in the country. They pointed to the security protocols and the sheer amount of law enforcement present in and around the dome. Now, while these are two opposing fan bases, they've really joined together as one to support the city of New Orleans.
I mean, obviously, we feel for all the families and the victims that were involved. We want to make sure that they're taken care of, and I think New Orleans has done a great job securing the city. But at the same time, we want to let terrorism disrupt what we're doing. We're about life, we're about living. So, and our faith is what guides us. So for of course, this is something that we wanted to do for a long time, so that's why we're here.
You mentioned the security measures. Do y'all feel safe attending the game today?
Yeah, I mean, there's cops up and down the streets, blocks away from here, so I mean, it's pretty secure right now.
We were out last night too, and just the presence, every block, every corner, there was a police presence, so yeah, New Orleans did a great job coming out making sure the city's secure.
Fans also reiterated to me that they didn't hesitate to come to the game today because they said that's when you let fear win. Reporting outside the Superdome, Kendall Duncan, WDSU News.
There you go, and that's the way it's done. You can't let fear stop you, because then the terrorists win. I'll be right back. Stay with me.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So, and this is what I mean about perspective, okay? While people in New Orleans are coming together, and the entire nation, or at least a big portion of the nation, and even people from other nations are trying to provide support for the people of New Orleans, you have other people who are basically trying to scare the crap out of people and get people to do things they ought not really do. So, case in point, I came across this video today from Valentina Gomez. She's a Colombian American politician. She's made a name for herself through, shall we say, controversial campaign tactics and rhetoric. She's a MAGA supporter, but I have to tell you, when I hear stuff like this, and when I see antics like what I'm about to show you, this shows me why some people this is what scares people away from the Trump camp, the MAGA camp, the America First camp. This is what it is. This woman, I'm sorry, she's freaking nuts. Okay? Don't do what she's about to tell you to do. I understand gun rights and all of those issues, but you saw what happened down there in New Orleans at the football game. You have the professionals providing security and making sure that people can go to the game safely. That's the way it's done. And the community's coming together, and people have eyes and ears, and they're all on the lookout for anything that might be out of the ordinary. But what this woman wants you to do is, well, I'll let her tell you. Here's the crazy lady.
And neither Fauci nor Mayorkas are being held accountable by these so-called Republicans in Congress.
She's talking about other
their
stuff
thoughts and
too.
prayers, their investigations, their hearings, and their...
Let me take it
When
back
a
to the
government doesn't fight against criminals, it's because they're complicit with them. Mayorkas allowed for millions of terrorists into America, and now these terrorists are just waiting to get activated. Fauci forced poison. Congress and the FBI are just a bunch of clowns who love sending money and your sons and daughters to other nations except America. The terrorists are already here. So buy bullets, train, and make sure to neutralize them before they neutralize you.
No, don't do that. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, okay? But she also wants public executions. She wants to take us back to the Dark Ages. I'm sorry. Now, I'm Canadian, so maybe my attitude is a little bit different, but I think she's nuts. And I had to skip over a little bit of her video because she was talking about the jabberoonie thingy that people get in the arm there, too, which YouTube doesn't like people talking about, which is also a big mistake. I just see so much craziness all over the place. She's nuts. She didn't win her election. She lost. I think she got 7% of the vote, which shows you that that's not the way forward if you really want to win elections either. Okay, she was running for Congress, and she ran for Secretary of State, actually, and as well. And how did she do? She was a Republican in the Republican primary. She was trying to secure she wanted to run for Missouri's Secretary of State this year. And she finished 6th out of 8 candidates, got 7.4% of the vote. Anyway, I've looked at a few of her other videos. She really hadn't been on my radar until today at all. I just didn't even really know who she was. But she's making all kinds of, But she's not the only one. I've been coming across all these videos where people are all jacked up and they're ready to, I don't know, go crazy with guns. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, seriously, what the hell? That's not what you do. That's not the way forward. That's not going to solve the problem. It just is not going to solve the problem. What they're doing down there today, that's the way you respond. You secure the area and you proceed with life. and you conduct your investigation and you find out what the truth is and you hold people accountable legally. She also wants, that woman, that crazy woman, she's also telling people to get out your guns, and if you see a drone in the sky, shoot it down. That's also not smart, because if you start doing stuff like that, somebody's going to get really seriously hurt or killed. That's just stupid. It's ridiculously dumb. At the end of the broadcast, actually, I'm going to show you a drone video that you are really not going to want to miss. Remind me, if you can. She's nuts. And then yesterday, and you know something else? People are losing their minds. I'm a journalist. My job is to hold politicians accountable, regardless of their political stripe. And then yesterday, because I was just mentioning that Donald Trump spoke too quickly, posted too quickly, making an assumption that the driver of the truck in the New Orleans terror attack was an immigrant. Now he's got egg on his face. And it's resulted in mainstream media and social media backlash against him, the MAGA movement, the GOP, conservatives in general. And the backlash isn't just coming from Democrats or people on the other side. There's a lot of that it's given them ammunition today, and they're making the most of it. They certainly are. I'll give you an example, but it's also coming from the conservative side. He's got to watch what he says. Now, somebody put a comment in one of the videos overnight. You got to watch what you say because I almost stopped watching. I'm going to turn you off. Well, I'm sorry. I don't make the news up, and I don't control what Donald Trump says. I don't care if it's Biden, Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, Macron out of France. I don't care if it's Donald Trump, J.D. Vance. I don't care who it is. If you're a politician and you're in the public, you're a public figure and you have a position of public trust, it's my job to call you out when you do something that needs to be called out. I'm just doing my job, and I don't control the news. I'm not here to cheerlead for anybody, but I am here to call people out when they deserve it. Here's the fallout from what I talked about last night. Trump posting on social media that, this was an act of evil and suggesting that the perpetrator was an immigrant when in fact he was from Texas, an American. And look at this guy. Look at what he does with it.
Hi gang, this is Boomer. Well, we've all lied in our lives, young and old, middle age. We've all lied. But this Republican Party, led by Donald Trump, has brought lying to a whole new level.
Lying.
I mean, they lie like we breathe. Trump's first 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, he was counted as having lied over 3,000 times by the Washington Post. It breeds contempt. It breeds distrust. And that's my whole thing today is about trust. Hate to say it, everyone, but we don't have it in America right now. We don't have trust. We had it for the better part of 4 years with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. But with this incoming crew, there's no trust there. They have lied so often. They have been so corrupt in the past that we simply cannot. I mean, just a free-thinking, neutral sort of an American cannot possibly trust Donald Trump and the Speaker of the House, Michael Johnson, and Elon, maybe you too for that matter, but the whole lot of you are just very you lie like we breathe, and this has to stop. America doesn't want this anymore. We want truth. Both the left and the right, the libs and the conservatives, they want the truth. And we're not going to get it until there's trust. Nothing good can happen without trust. And right now, we do not have it in America. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's demand truth and honesty so that we can regain trust in our country. Okay, this is Boomer, and this Boomer hits different.
All right, I mean, he's kind of got a point. I don't think that his concern is directed entirely in the right direction. I wouldn't say we had trust with Biden over the past 4 years, really, either. He did quite a bit to drive wedges in and divide the country, a lot, actually. And this is the problem, because I'm seeing it on really both sides. I think what happened with Trump yesterday was he spoke too soon. I'm not so sure he was trying to lie, but he, as Joseph was saying on the program last night, what he really needed to do was issue a clarification. And he hasn't done that. He's just let it sit out there and fester. And the result is that he's being attacked now. And not just by liberals, if you want to call them that, or Democrats, but even over on Fox News. It erupted today into kind of a spat online or on the air. Here it is. I'll show you. I told you yesterday it was going to blow up into something.
We need to make sure that we have the right facts. And the right facts were that the guy in New Orleans was an American. He wasn't an illegal crossing.
He wasn't.
That's not true. That's not true. There have been Republicans who have been on TV today talking about how this is an open border.
I'll call them myself.
You call them. That it's an open border
not
problem.
Mutually exclusive. That's not a mutually exclusive problem. You can have someone who's homegrown,
but you know
radicalized,
what they're trying to do?
And
They're trying to conflate it. They're trying to make it out to be that it is a demonization
Both things can happen at the same time.
undocumented people. That's what it was supposed to be. That's why you talked about it going to.
And we
but these aren't undocumented people. These are Americans.
75% of the arrests in New York City are illegals. Let's stop playing games.
Move the goalposts. Move them as far as you want. Sugar Bowl wide. Whatever.
Whatever. Coming up. Major safety concerns across the U.S., allegedly, after the terror.
We need to make sure that we have
major safety concerns across the U.S., and understandably so. But, it doesn't help when people in positions of public trust who are there to keep people safe and keep people calm and give people factual information as it becomes available, misspeak. Or speak out of turn, or speak too quickly without real, accurate, full information. And it causes problems. Well, in this case, it's causing problems. He caused problems for himself. And it will pass. This is not like, a huge problem for him in the long run. And he's elected anyway. Like, it's just, but don't shoot the messenger, man. I'm just reporting the news. And calling it like I see it. You can have your opinion too. And if you want me just to ignore it and gloss over a problem, well, sorry, not going to happen. He's not the only one who did it. A whole bunch of people did it. I think some people did just come out, and they weren't just lying. They were just, well, I guess they're lying. They're speculating and just deciding that it's going to be a particular way. And Candace Owens, she's nuts too. I used to like her. She's lost her freaking mind. She's turned into this full-blown bigoted weirdo who just spews crap anymore. Sorry, that's the truth too. She can take a hike, and look, I mean, here's a liberal who's taken her to town. You misspeak, you'd say something stupid, they're going to take advantage of it, and that's what's going on right here. Look, she just Candace Owens shot herself in the foot.
Population. We have Miss Candace Owens. Her 2 working brain cells tweeted, oh, let me guess, he's Iranian. Yes, a man named Shamsuddin Jabbar is Iranian. Are you fucking serious? As an Iranian woman myself, I can guarantee you that that is an Arab name and he is not an Iranian man. When you have the Middle Eastern political analysis understanding of a 2-year-old, I don't expect any more from you. Her tweet was so fucking stupid that she got a community note, but then she doubles down. It isn't the most Texas name I've ever heard, so I'm wondering what ethnicity he is. My guess is Iranian. From the blatant Islamophobia, assuming people's race and ethnicities because you don't have barely any kind of comprehension on what Middle Eastern names are, claiming that he was an immigrant that crossed the border, which is completely fucking false. I want to say I'm shocked, but I'm not. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Make sure you follow me for more news updates like this.
Okay, whatever. I'm not going to follow her either. It's just... I couldn't write this stuff any better. It's just, and now everybody's fighting, and I shouldn't be laughing. This is tragic, but look what happens when crazy people, extreme people, try to exploit a tragedy for political purposes or for clicks or for personal gain. That's what's been going on over the past 24 to 48 hours. And some people trying to radicalize other people and get you to rise up and do something crazy. Don't do that. Do you know what's going to happen to you if you do something like that? Several things could happen. First of all, you could actually shoot somebody who's innocent. Don't do it. You don't know. You're going to have a bunch of people running around hunting for terrorists or something. This is freaking crazy. Don't do that. Secondly, if you do that, you know who's going to show up and do something about it? Police. You're going to end up either in jail or shot yourself. Don't do that. Don't listen to these people. They are nuts. They're driving you nuts if you're thinking that you should do something like that. Calm down. We've had incidents like this before. People are shot in Chicago every single night. They're not necessarily acts of terrorism, but there's violence in the streets there. New York, every single night. The media is just very focused on this because the guy was radicalized and he was flying an ISIS flag. So it becomes political at a time when we've got all these geopolitical problems amplified in our minds because of all the media coverage. But keep it in perspective. It's a bad thing. It's a terrible thing. But there's all kinds of other violence going on all across the country all the time. And it doesn't have to come from a terrorist, a crazy guy, because ultimately that's what that guy was. Whatever the motivation was behind it, he's still nuts because he's been driven nuts. Anybody that does something like that is not right in the head. Stay calm. I'm going to calm down. And what's going on with, this Cybertruck thing? Well, the investigation there is continuing as well. And that guy also clearly not right in the head. The investigation there has now indicated that he shot himself, committed suicide in the truck as it was burning. And then I've seen other people saying, well, if he shot himself and he was acting alone, then how did the truck, if he had igniters, how did he ignite? Because he set the thing on fire and then shot himself. And then as the fire spread to the fireworks and the other fuels in the vehicle, it blew up. And here's a clip from today's news conference on that.
Removed for a very long period of time because he was burnt beyond recognition. And so as we continue to move through this, I'm going to talk a little bit about his identity and what we believe, but I would like to highlight a couple of things that the teams found inside of the Cybertruck that are useful to the investigation. And that first and foremost is a military identification. We also found a passport. We found a Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi-automatic pistol. And if you'll notice on a lot of these guns that we're going to talk about here, they're almost just burnt beyond recognition as well. There's a SLR model B30 semi-automatic firearm. Number of fireworks that were still in the vehicle that had to be removed. Notably, we found an iPhone and a smartwatch, and then several credit cards were also in the name of our subject. Our subject is 37 removed for.
Yeah. So the investigations so far have also indicated that, yes, these two guys, the one in New Orleans and the guy out of Las Vegas, they did both serve and were at the same base, military base, but at different times. So the driver of the Tesla Cybertruck that exploded outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas has been identified as Matthew Allen Livelsberger, a 37-year-old active duty U.S. Army Green Beret from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Livelsberger was on approved leave at the time of the incident. Authorities believe that Livelsberger sustained a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head before the vehicle exploded. Several identifying documents, as you just saw there, including a military ID, a passport, credit cards in his name were found in the vehicle, along with the two firearms also that you saw from that news conference clip. The explosion was caused by fireworks-style mortars, gasoline cans, and camping fuel canisters that were in the back of the Cybertruck. The blast was described as not sophisticated for someone with Livelsberger's military background. Now, the FBI and local law enforcement are investigating the incident as a potential act of terrorism. However, they believe it to be an isolated incident at this point with no further threat to the community. They are also looking into any possible connection with a deadly car ramming attack in that truck attack in New Orleans that occurred just hours earlier. And again, no definitive link has been established between the two other than it appears they may have rented a vehicle from the same area, maybe the same city, and the other link is just that they both were at that same military base. I think it was Fort Bragg, but they were not there at the same time and did not appear to even know each other. So as of now, the motive behind the explosion is still not clear. Police, law enforcement still probing into the reasons why Livelsberger may have committed the act, including examining his personal life, where his wife mentioned he had been out of the house since around Christmas because they'd had a dispute. So there might have been something there. He obviously had some marital problems, and that may have played into this whole thing as well. And that Cybertruck was rented in Colorado and tracked to Las Vegas through Tesla charging stations. And investigators are giving some credit to Elon Musk because he's helped them with that portion of the investigation, including providing video evidence from security cameras at Tesla charging stations. Oh, don't worry though, the Trump administration won't track you. They're not into digital surveillance, right? Say the people who elected the oligarch to serve right alongside Trump in the White House because he spent $270+ million and only owns an electric car company, which is entirely digital, and every one of his vehicles is tracked everywhere that it goes at every moment. And every time you charge up, they know exactly what you're doing and exactly how much energy you're using. But don't worry, he's not about digital surveillance. I'm sorry. It's just too funny. It's too funny. I don't want central bank digital currency, but yay, Elon. I'm glad we elected Elon. No, we didn't. He bought his way into the White House. Oh, the politics is just bizarre. You've got a president right now who slurs his words, can just shuffles over to the podium, never takes questions. He's half asleep all the time and asleep half the time. And oh my God, you can't. I can't make this stuff up. But stay calm. It's going to be okay. Really, it's going to be okay. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay? There has been a lot of stuff, but just keep in mind that with media, always, When you have a major incident, any other incident that's even similar gets instant media attention and a lot more of it. So it seems like these things are happening in clusters, when in fact the less significant incidents probably would not get nearly as much media attention if it weren't for the large incident like the New Orleans attack to begin with. And each of these things would have been treated sort of separately, okay? Now, the FBI arrested another guy. His name was Forrest Kendall Pemberton. He traveled to Plantation, Florida. This is a separate incident again, with several guns, including an AR-15. And the authorities say he seemed to have a plan to attack or harm employees at the APAC office there. Employees. So Pemberton's father tipped off police, this back on December 23rd, after finding a letter from his son saying he wanted to close the loop and stoke the flames and say goodbye to his family. And Pemberton scouted the location, which was actually a former APAC office, before being intercepted in a rideshare on Christmas Day. And he was carrying firearms at the time. And he told police he targeted APAC for its political influence, but ultimately decided against community criminal action. So, I mean, this is, all happening around the same time. This one's getting considerable media attention as well, especially online. Not so much through mainstream, but definitely. Here, I'll show you a picture of the guy. There it is. They've got him. And he's not too bright because, as I understand it, the APAC office that he was targeting, which is, of course, that lobby group for Israel, or Jewish American interests, apparently it's an old office. It wasn't even functional anymore, not really in that location. So not the brightest bulb, that's for sure. Don't be like him. Another stupid guy. Yeah. And here's Crazy Eye Guy. I'm sorry. I have to just picture this guy, Kash Patel. I'm sorry. There's something about this guy. Oh, man. And he in his name, when he shows his name, the S in Cash, he literally makes it a $sign. Anyway, apparently because Trump wants this guy to be his FBI head, the new director of the FBI. I guess some people in the FBI are saying they're going to resign if he's confirmed. And so there's real tension in there now. And I just can't get over his. Look at the guy's eyes. He just, dude, do you not understand that this is a bad picture and this is damaging your image? And unless maybe that's the way his eyes are all the time. I call him Crazy Eye Guy now. Crazy Eyes. It's just, again, I can't make it up. Look at his eyes. Sorry. Maybe you could. It's just, I think it's funny. It just is. You can like him if you want to. I don't, but he's got crazy eyes. Oh, maybe the ladies go crazy for that. I don't know. Oh, it's terrible. And there's more weirdness out there because in Austin, Texas, authorities are responding to reports of gunfire inside Lakeline Mall. This is causing panic and an immediate evacuation of shoppers down there in this mall. Gunshots were, I guess, fired in the mall. And I'm going to try and get you the most up-to-date information on that as well, as this appears to be a breaking news story tonight. I'll get you a little bit of footage from the location here. And here you go. This is what it looks like down there. Heavy police presence. So I'll try to find out what the most up-to-date info is on that. Let's take a little break here. And I'm just going to check in with that, and I'll check in with you on the other side.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
I do have a little bit of an update. Looks like a single shot may have been fired inside the food court of that mall. We have a clip now from police who are on scene and have provided a brief statement to media just moments ago. Here's the clip.
Inside the food court was a dispute between two groups of people. A shot was fired inside the food court. At that point, witnesses saw the individuals run from the mall. Officers responded at that point not knowing who else was inside the mall. The mall itself went into its own lockdown procedures. The mall was locked in place with employees locked in place as well. At this point, officers are inside. All of the exits are being opened and people are being escorted from the mall itself. So that's taking place right now. We have no one shot, no one harmed. There is no threat to the community. I do want to thank our partners. As you can see, this coordinated response on what happened. This makes me very happy to think that in Austin we have an incident. This is the response that they can expect. So I appreciate all the efforts from DPS, fire, EMS, and other folks who came out and assisted. Inside.
Okay, so nobody shot there, but a shot fired. Fortunately, nobody hurt or killed, so that's very good news. And the investigation continues. If there's anything more to say about that before the end of the broadcast, I will update you right here. Now, there was also this incident overnight at this nightclub in Queens. Let me see if I need to get the most up-to-date info on that for you. So, initially, like when the news of this broke overnight, there was a lot of speculation and a lot of concern. And there were, I know that there were even people who launched like a Twitter Spaces or an X Spaces discussion on it. It was generating, huge audience overnight, all this speculation. But in the end, what it turned out to be is a situation where we had 10 people were wounded in this shooting overnight, and it was outside this nightclub in New York City. It was holding a memorial for a teenager who had been previously killed in the city, and as I say, there's violence all over the place all the time. That's a big problem. Police said that 4 men fired about 30 shots at a crowd of people who were standing outside the Amzura Concert Hall in Jamaica, Queens. They were there for a private event. And then, after firing the shots, they ran to a car and drove off. 6 females, 4 males between the ages of 16 and 20 were taken to hospitals, but they are all expected to recover, according to police. So the club was holding this private event to celebrate the life of a teen who had been killed in Brooklyn late last year. And witnesses there say these shooters just wanted to cause, in their words, destruction. And the governor, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, says that a memorial for a teen lost to gun violence turned to horror when gunmen opened fire on the crowd. This cannot be our normal, she said. And so no arrests made by police at this point. And let me see if I've got any video or images from there. But again, this is not related directly to the other incidents. It's just an incident, separate, but of major concern, obviously. Yeah, and I had video of it last night. Hang on just a moment. Yeah, okay, so I showed you this last night. Hang on just a minute here. Another call coming in. Let me just get you the video here. Hang on. That's not what we want. We want this over here. I can only push so many buttons, answer so many phone calls, and make sure the audio is working at the same time. I'm one dude. And this was video. We actually, I think, showed you this last night when we were on the air. But I'll show you this video again. This is from an elevated position. And I'm not going to run the audio. But you can see the police presence outside the nightclub. And we do have a call coming in here. So let me take a break so I can vet this call, see who it is, and maybe it's somebody who wants to be on the program. I will be right back. Don't go away.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
All right. Okay, Joseph is back on the line. Of course, Joseph was on the program with us last night, and you have something you want to add to the conversation tonight, sir.
Yeah, well, as we said yesterday, things will always be fluid and change and update as more info comes in. But my thought, or my thinking is today, and I'm also going to discuss this on my show on Saturday, I think they're now declaring that he acted alone. As I said last night, Why drive from Houston to NOLA then? That to me suggested indeed he had co-conspirators, if I could talk, in New Orleans that would help him. And they said the supposed two or three other guys and the female that they now are implying they misidentified were all him in different outfits. Does that pass the common sense and smell test to anybody else? He's running around in a pickup truck. Then show me the suitcase. Show me these different articles of clothing he changed in and out of. I think it's too early to dismiss that and make that pivot. In my mind, the gut feel is somebody.
Joseph,
Maybe
Joseph. What's your, okay, it doesn't pass your smell test and it doesn't pass your gut test. So they're the ones who are investigating. They're the ones with the information. And you can sit here, I guess, and say we shouldn't trust the FBI and sow seeds of distrust and disrupt things again. But where's your proof? And what are you basing your comments on?
Well,
just because you say so?
Prove me wrong. Show me the suitcase.
They're investigating, and they just said that with the information they have, which is a lot more than I have and a lot more than you have, that this is what they said that the information could change, so it's fluid. They've said that. It doesn't mean that this what they've said is cast in stone, but the information that they're conveying to the people right now is that the best information they have is that he did act alone. And if they're saying that he was changing outfits, yeah, if you're committing an act of terrorism and you're planting bombs and you don't want to be detected and you don't want to get caught, you might change your clothes and disguise yourself. I can absolutely see that.
Oh, I can see that too, but is there evidence of it?
Yeah, they have video surveillance, which at some point I would imagine they'll release, but it's still very early in this investigation, not even a day old, and yeah, they're honestly, man, like I have to say, I think these people are doing the best they can under the circumstances. They have over 400, they just told us they have over 400 leads to follow up on, and they're following up on all of those. That's a lot of work. They've got a huge team all on the ground. They're trying to keep people safe and trying to keep people calm. And I think the last thing we should be doing here as a media outlet is just sowing conspiracy theories and just throwing shit out there because it doesn't pass our smell test. What we need to do here, and what I always have done, is deal in facts. And the investigators are giving us their information. Now, I guess if we wanted to go down there and investigate ourselves and go and speak to eyewitnesses and get eyewitness accounts, we could do that. We don't have a budget for it. But short of that, I don't think it's constructive for us to sit here and speculate or second guess when we really don't even have access to the evidence. So
we speculated a whole lot yesterday.
You speculated a whole lot yesterday. And I appreciate it, but it's not helpful to the public to just sit there and spew. So I've always dealt in facts because, and I'll tell you why, Joseph. It's because it's our responsibility to serve the public interest, and it's our responsibility as a media outlet to act responsibly and to deal in facts, not in speculation that might scare people without cause. Because right now, we've got other people out there trying to exploit this, as I just showed you, to get people to do crazy things.
Yeah.
And that's not right.
He was online before the attack, announcing the attack. If the FBI was spending less time attacking Christians at school board meetings, And the Vegas shooter from the Mandalay Bay before, still no info.
Where
So
those are
no,
other
nobody
issues,
in the
other
United
incidents,
States
and that's
trusts
not
the
direct, and that's
FBI
not
or New
directly
Orleans.
related to this, and it's not helpful. It doesn't help the people of New Orleans tonight. It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
It does in the long run.
No, it
If
doesn't.
they
It does.
are
This is
corrupt
not helpful.
and needing
What you're doing right
removal.
now is actually very harmful. It's not right. You're scaring
Well, we have
people.
to agree
You're
to
you're
disagree on
not.
that.
Well, I'm telling you, this is not productive. This is not helpful to people. You're scaring people and sowing distrust, telling people they shouldn't trust the investigators, that they're basically incompetent. You wanted the police chief thrown in jail yesterday. With just
I gave
and
the example of Katrina. We know New Orleans
this isn't
is
Katrina.
corrupt.
This isn't Katrina. This is a separate incident. You have to deal with this.
Tyrus on the 5, who actually is from New Orleans.
I don't care what Tyrus
the
said.
same thing
Tyrus
I
can
am.
say whatever he wants. We say what we say here.
Yeah. But he lived there. He's from there. He knows the corruption.
Okay. What's
So,
corruption
it's
got
not
to
like
do?
I'm
What does corruption have to do with this investigation and the preparations? Now, they said that they're going to look at all of the things that were done in advance of the event, and will address
Not done.
the
Not done. That's
what's
the
that?
point. The thing's not done yet.
Possibly.
Dragging their feet.
Well, those are things that will be dealt with. But what we're dealing with here tonight, and should be dealing with, is facts and evidence. And we don't have any more information than we've already presented here on the program. It's not helpful to just sit there and say, they suck. Don't trust them. Because this is a problem that we have in our communities, in our society right now. We need people we can rely on. And these are the people that are put into positions of public trust, and we have to let them do their jobs. Now, you can question them, but at this moment, the community there is trying to function. And they've gone to the football game today after a 24-hour delay, and the community is coming together. And I take my hat off to them. That's how you deal with a terrorist attack. That's how you do it. Not listen to a bunch of online whack jobs who just want to sit there and say, don't trust the police. Because when you do that, then people do crazy shit. And people get hurt.
Trust the police.
What?
I did not say, don't put words in my mouth now, Rick. I
Well-
did not say don't trust the police. I'm saying I don't trust that chief of police.
Why?
I have no problem with backing the blue at the low level,
Yeah.
but we know the layers of corruption. Turning
I
a
don't
blind
know.
eye to it is also not helpful.
I don't
Rick.
know. I don't know that police chief is corrupt.
No, it's a possibility.
Well-
Turning a blind eye to the past
Well, if you're gonna make an
corruption
accusation
and that
of-
it could
if you-
be ongoing is also not helpful. It's ostrich burying one's head in the
I'm not
sand.
burying my head in the sand. I'm saying that if you're going to accuse somebody of something, you better have some real information to back it up, not just a gut feeling. That's not adequate. And it's not fair. It's not fair to the chief of police, and it's not fair to the people of the community. You're not.
Well, the Louisiana DA needs to step up because the FBI is not going to do it. They're too busy harassing school parents at school board meetings. Those are facts.
What I see is a lot of people on the ground there right now. That's what I see. I don't see them at school board meetings. I see them down there investigating. That's what I think. That's what they're busy doing right now.
The low-level ground FBI guys, I know a few. Few of them are my sources. So please don't tell me I don't know anything. I know a lot
I
more
didn't say
than
you
you
don't.
do.
Do you?
Because I get incoming information that I can't share the source and message on.
Well, I've put you out there on many occasions as something of an expert because you wrote your book. So let's act professionally and responsibly.
Yeah, and it's not just me. It's not me. It's the people I know and the people who give
Well,
me information.
what people have given you information, and what information have they given you that leads you to question the integrity of the police chief of New Orleans?
The situation in general, anyone in particular, not necessarily. But again, like I said last night, 2.5 months. You had to prepare. You failed. You are incompetent. You are stupid. You need to go. You are bad at your job. That to me is fact enough that you had 2.5 months to prepare. You failed.
What's that got to do with
Resign.
what? That's something we dealt with last night, and they're going to look at that. And I don't know what all the facts are surrounding that. They did talk about it in the news conference to some degree yesterday. We'll learn more about that, and if there were mistakes made, then yes, some people should be held accountable. But let's wait for the facts on that. And then what does that have to do with what you started this conversation about, where you're saying that, you know, this person probably didn't act alone when they're saying he did? Or probably did, but the situation is fluid.
I'm saying it's an open question. I think it's a rush to dismiss that.
Okay.
Based on what evidence, indeed? You're asking me what evidence do I have? I'm asking the same question.
They told you what the
Where hell
evidence
is
was.
their evidence?
They told you what the evidence was that they're basing it on. But actually, I don't think that the two of you are that far apart. It's the way the information is being conveyed here, I think, that is the issue. And they're saying that the situation is fluid. So if they get other information to indicate that there are other people involved, then fine. But where these coolers and these explosive devices were concerned, where they thought there were other people involved, the surveillance camera footage, from what they're using, it indicates that it wasn't other additional people involved in the perpetration of this event. So they've got facial recognition. They've got the surveillance
to the
footage.
Boston Marathon bombing the other day, the Boston Marathon bomb. That would be consistent with a combination attack, as I mentioned yesterday. Part truck bomb, part Boston Marathon. The Zarnera brothers acted alone, as in together as the two of them, planting other devices. So that is credible in what they're saying of that. It's just indeed the press conferences I'm seeing outside in New Orleans are definitely, or Vegas and New Orleans both are just leaving so many open questions, and when they do, it lends room for this. And I agree. We agree that it's all fluid. But we shouldn't fear the questions. But I get what you're saying, my friend. I do. And normally I would be with you. But there is a pattern of behavior here regarding both New Orleans and incidents in Vegas. If this were Boston, I'd be all on board with it.
Well, I'm going to sit and wait and see what the information is. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that this guy did this or didn't do that. I'm going to deal with the information as it becomes available and deal with facts. That's what I do. And that's the responsible thing to do. And I'm here to serve the public, you know, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
It will not surprise me ultimately either way. Either way, there's circumstantial, let me put that word in there, indeed, circumstantial evidence that suggests lone wolf. There are certain circumstantial parts of evidence and facts and speculations to some degree that suggest I don't see how he could be. And he himself admitted the ISIS inspiration and
well, they're saying that he was inspired by ISIS. Yeah.
Based on his posts.
He was radicalized by ISIS ideology. Absolutely. That's what they're saying. They said in the news conference today, which we didn't get to that portion, but they said he was 100% inspired by ISIS. And that's in the thumbnail. So that's true, at least according to the information that they have thus far. And they have the video evidence from social media to back that up.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a whole team
Which
of
was
people.
pretty
You and I are
obvious
not
by
that
the
far
ISIS
apart.
flag.
All I'm saying is that this information needs to be treated responsibly. And the reason they're coming out and with this assessment at this time is because they need to reassure the public that there is no risk to public safety right now if they're going to tell people they can go to the football game or go to the supermarket or just go for a walk down the street. They want people to be reassured that it is safe. And they're not going to tell people that if they think there are still, say, 3 suspects out there running around who are terrorists. And I'm pretty certain that they must be very confident in it, because the last thing they want is for somebody else to get shot, because then their ass is in a sling again. So I don't think they're speaking out of turn when they're saying this. They've got to have some pretty solid information to sit there and say that they think that, you know, he acted alone, at least at that level. Now, if there's something else that comes out later, I guess we'll find out about it. But right now, what they're trying to convey to people is there are no terrorists that they know of that are connected to this guy running around on the streets of New Orleans, and yet they still have all this, you know, huge presence outside the stadium to keep people safe tonight. So that's why we need to be careful what we say too, because people will believe us. So we need to make sure that we deal in facts.
Well, again, the Boston Marathon bombing, they put out the surveillance photo. These are the guys. Now, put out the photos of him planning the bombs. Are these different people or are they him? Why didn't they ask for our help like they did in the Boston Marathon bombing? So it's just a lot of this leads to a lot of open questions, and indeed,
well, it's okay.
They don't want panic. I don't want panic either.
No.
I'm not trying to peddle fear porn. I want people to be awake and alert, but not paranoid.
Good, me too. And I don't know why they didn't release the pictures. I guess they must have some reasons. It's an ongoing investigation. You know, I've covered a lot of stuff with cops and over the years, and when they don't release information, it's usually because they need to hold information back so that as they investigate, it doesn't taint witness interviews, and not even just juries, but even during the investigative process. You know, if you release this piece of information, it gets out into the public, and then you can be talking to somebody and it can skew what somebody says because somebody said something or they've seen something, and then you're getting an answer back that doesn't give you the clear answer that you need to lead you to, you know, to more evidence or the truth about something regarding an investigation. It's very important, and sometimes things are not readily apparent to people, right? Sometimes this stuff doesn't even come out until it goes to court.
I do not disagree with you, Rick, and that's proper policing. I'm not. Absolutely, you can't release everything you know. I'm not saying they need to do that here. Transparency in the government is one thing, but an ongoing investigation, as long as you're not using that as a cop-out to release no information, I agree with that policing method. And indeed, you need to hold back things for trial that aren't known to the public on everything that then someone can twist or outright lie about.
But they are releasing information. It's not like they're sitting there not releasing any information. And if they've come to the conclusion, using no doubt facial recognition software and other technology available to them through the surveillance footage, if they've come to the conclusion that it's the same guy in all of the footage, then they have no need to release it to the public in order to track down suspects who don't exist. If they've confirmed that it's this guy in each instance, then they don't need to ask for the public's help to track these people down.
They would gain a lot more trust and it would not hurt the investigation or the
I
court
don't.
case.
But we,
Well, there's no court case because he's dead.
we don't know. We don't know.
We
don't know if it would hurt the
investigation.
We don't know if it would hurt the investigation to release those images. Maybe there's other. There are factors surrounding the garments he was wearing. Who knows, Joseph? You and I don't know what they are dealing with.
Rick, calm down.
I'm calm.
People usually say I get too riled up, but what I'm saying is they could say because of cameras and facial recognition, we have indeed ruled out others being involved. That doesn't disrupt anything. You can carefully craft your language to provide enough information to be reassuring. So indeed, the conspiracy theory community doesn't go off the rails.
Well, it's going to go off the rails anyway. It's already going off the rails because some people do that intentionally. A lot of people do these days. And they did stand up in the news conference and basically say that. They didn't make reference to facial recognition technology. I'm suggesting they obviously have that available to them. Whether it's applicable here or not because of image quality, I don't know. But we don't know. I don't know.
Somewhat implied.
You know, so they're doing whatever they're doing because they feel they have to do it that way. So if it hasn't been released, Joseph, I don't know why they haven't released it. But obviously, if it's one guy, they don't need to release images of suspects who don't exist. So
no, but my point, Rick,
I understand your point.
If you're one guy, you're one suspect, the one guy solely responsible is dead, there is no court case to protect evidence from taking.
Well, you don't know that because the situation is fluid and there could be other linkages here or other factors that we're not aware of.
It's still an open question. You're making my point.
I told you we're not that far apart. It's how this information is being disseminated to the people and whether it's being done responsibly in a way that doesn't alarm or scare the shit out of people.
Yeah.
That's
all right. Well, love you, brother. I got to get back to editing my show for Saturday.
So what we're saying here is we're going to agree to agree on the things that we agree on because we basically are in agreement.
On most things.
On most things.
Yes.
What do we? I don't even know exactly what we're disagreeing on, really, ultimately.
The way they're going about the press conferences, I guess, is what we're disagreeing on.
Okay.
And the suspicious nature of past incidents causing people to be concerned about what is coming up because of past corruption, both in Vegas and New Orleans.
Well, I'm aware. I'm aware of that stuff too. But that's a whataboutism, and we need to deal with this today. This is the thing today.
As opposed to the Boston Marathon thing. Again, look at the Wahlberg movie, Patriot Day. It's not a 100% true story because Wahlberg plays a composite character of several people, but the smoothness and the greatness of the FBI in that situation, working with Boston police and everything, so well done there versus immediate concerns I have here. And maybe I am overreacting. Rick, I admit, how many times I'm human, I'm frail, I'm flawed, I'm imperfect, and indeed, maybe I'm overreacting to that concern. Maybe I'm not. Only time will tell, right?
Yeah,
we definitely agree on that.
Yeah, and I just think the best thing to do is sit back a little bit longer, just take the information in as it comes, and assess it as it becomes available. That's really all we can ultimately do, and just treat the information with extreme responsibility, with great care, in order to serve the viewers, serve the public in the best way we can. That's what we need to do.
Well, when I get information from a trusted source, it's one thing. But what I'm getting it from somebody I don't know yet, I can trust, like the people at that presser, then it makes me worried. It makes me worried.
So
I'm
you're
worried.
right there. I mean, like you don't trust the mayor, you don't trust the governor, you don't trust the police chief. These are the people. You don't trust the FBI. Who are you going to trust? Because that's who's at the news conference, and these are the people doing the investigation.
Yeah, no,
So-
the low-level folks doing the actual work, I trust them. The low-level FBI people, I know some of them. Again, some of them are my sources. I absolutely trust them. They're great people in a very corrupt system right now, unfortunately.
Okay.
It's the leadership that is the issue. And hopefully a lot of that gets cleaned up when Ray resigns and we get a new administration cleaning house. Remember
So,
Cheadle and the Secret Service thing and her press conference. Yeah, I don't know this. I
So
don't know that.
where are we? Like, where does this
garbage.
where does this go? Like, what do you think that they're responsible for the terrorist attack? You think that
absolutely not.
they're connected to this guy, or like what is it you're saying?
I'm not spreading that this was a false flag event. Please don't put those words
I'm
in
not.
my
I'm
mouth.
asking you, like what? Why do you think they would stand there and lie? If you don't trust them, you're suggesting that maybe they're lying about something. What?
It's a simple answer, Rick.
What's that?
They're corrupt.
Corrupt in what way?
corrupt,
Corrupt for what reason? What, they're stealing money? What corruption and over what? With regard to this?
Potentially, again, where did all that levy money go? Where did all the security improvement money
What's
go?
that?
Show me where the money went.
Well,
Follow
let's
the
wait
money.
and get
I
some
want
facts
to
before we
see it.
start accusing people of crimes. Because that's what's going on here right now, is if you're making those kinds of allegations, like, better back it up.
Well, past president is future performance. Normally, not always. So
Has that police chief stolen money before?
That city has been corrupt in the past. So give us transparency so we know you're on the up and up. Trust is earned, and I'm telling them their lack of trust across the nation is at an all-time low. So earn our trust.
They earned the trust of the people who put them into those positions. And if they betray that trust, they'll be taken out. That's why they're there right now. They were either elected or hired for various positions that they're in right now. And they are in, as I've said, positions of public trust right now. And if they betray that trust, then we'll call them out here. But until we have factual evidence in order to direct at somebody, I'm not going to sit here and accuse somebody of a crime or being criminally corrupt when I have nothing to base that on.
Charges against RFK and Trump. Trump took charges. People who were, quote-unquote, elected by ultra-leftists in ultra-leftist cities engaging in political persecutions, not valid prosecutions. That's all part of how and why we are here where we are today.
No wonder we're in so much trouble.
Yeah, well, Fannie Willis, elected. She just got reelected. Despite all the garbage that went on.
That's politics, and you know, like I all I can say.
Your point is she's in a position of trust.
Is Fannie Willis in this? Is Fannie Willis part of this? No.
It's part of the overall picture.
No. I'm talking about this incident and this investigation and the people at this news conference, the people who are handling this. I don't have any information, either do you, to suggest that any of those people up there have done anything illegal at all, or that they're acting improperly. or doing anything other than trying to conduct an investigation and keep the public safe. Now, if during the course of this, and this may well happen, maybe somebody has screwed up, and then over the course of time, as the process plays out, they will be held accountable. Now, there's politics that comes into play here, and often the politics skews reality, and quite often, because of politics, sometimes people are unjustly held accountable for things that they really didn't really do, and sometimes they get off the hook for things that they did do. That's politics. But over the course of time, this information is going to come out, and I'm not going to sit here and make accusations against any of those people up there and say that they've done anything illegal or corrupt when I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no evidence.
The point, part of that point is, you said it yourself, people have gotten off with this. Michigan, Flint, the Flint water thing. People have skated after killing people.
Well, that's that, and this is this. And if there are things that happen here, then we'll deal with that. But to try and tie that thing to that thing, that's complete conflation. That's not fair, that's not accurate, and it's not really helpful. It's not. That's that's
brother,
terrible methodology. That's like 2 plus 2 equals 6.
Anyway, but appreciate you having allowed me on again to air it, and I know there will be people who in the chat are probably singing my prayers, and some in the chat probably saying I'm a complete nut.
No, I'm sure 99% will be on your side because people like to believe the negative stuff. So, and that's fine. But I love you.
Yeah, all right, love you, brother. Take care. God bless.
Okay, Joseph. You have a great night, man.
Same to all the Mavericks in the audience. God bless you all. Hopefully this new year's gotten off to a bad start, but hopefully it means it'll get, it can only go uphill, right, friends? It can only go uphill.
Well, yeah, this is only the second day and not looking so great, but I'll say this, it's more stable today than it was yesterday. And I had people calling me overnight in the middle of the night, waking me up because they were so concerned about the shooting in New York. And they're thinking all these things are connected and they're all jumping to conclusions. And there were many people who phoned me several times overnight to wake me up because they wanted me to jump on and do broadcasts and talk about how basically the whole country was under some sort of a terrorist attack or something. And I'm like, no, I've been doing this job for a long, long time. And I know that the thing to do is to just treat the information responsibly and as it becomes available and deal with facts, not get too deep into, speculation and conflation and start tying things together and jumping to conclusions. Because when you do that, you get into trouble. Trump got himself into trouble just by making that post prematurely himself, by saying that guy was an immigrant when he was. Right? Yeah. And so
we agreed on that.
It's how you treat the information in a situation like that. And there's an example where, as far as I'm concerned, that's an example, there's proof right there that you need to treat the information with caution. And don't get ahead of it. Don't get out in front of it. Deal with it as it becomes available and that it's solid. And treat it with proper perspective at the time. That's all. That's all.
Well, he's dead, so hopefully both of them are dead. All of them are, except for the Vegas hostage taker. I don't know to follow up on that. But the two primary problem suspects are dead, so that is a positive.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that what happened with that is, again, there were assumptions made, reports made that it was a hostage taking. It wasn't. That's why when I got that information last night, I was like, I don't even know if this is true. And then I was trying to treat that information with extreme caution, knowing there was something going on. And I said, it could be possibly a hostage situation because that's what's being reported. But it wasn't, because somebody put that out there, but it wasn't the truth. What that situation ended up being in Las Vegas last night, ended up being a 4-hour standoff with somebody on a city bus with a knife. Police surrounded the bus, and it just resulted in a long 4-hour standoff. A half an hour after we signed off from our broadcast last night, it was resolved. The person came off the bus. Nobody was hurt. There were no hostages. That was the end of it. But of course, that was also making national, waves on social media, because people were trying to connect that to the Tesla truck and the thing in New Orleans, when in reality, it was just somebody who was not quite right in their head and they had a knife. And these things happen all the time. Even here locally, you get people depressed with a gun or a knife threatening self-harm. Police will show up. They'll end up in a standoff outside somebody's house. 99% of the time, you don't even hear about these things.
Potentially coincidence.
Yeah.
And indeed it was coincidence. But since nobody died, it doesn't bleed, therefore it doesn't lead in most of the national news. There's little follow-up to it, unfortunately. Like other than the Newsmax scroll the other day that it was happening, or showing the one picture of it, and then there's no follow-up, which again then leads to the issue of so much open questions because there's no follow-up, and unfortunately most of the news then comes from the social media going on out there about it.
Which honestly, sometimes that's good, but people are of the mindset now. A lot of people, it's like, I can't trust mainstream media, so they're only getting it from social media. And a lot of these people online, they're not really journalists. They're clickbait artists, or they're amateurs, and they often, more often than not, don't treat the information with proper care. And it's not a judicious treatment of information, and a lot of the time you're not getting facts. You're getting tainted information, twisted, distorted information, and people think that's the truth because they can't trust the mainstream media anymore. So we're in a really, really bad place, just overall. But I don't want to participate in that. I don't want to participate in that, and I've got decades of experience in journalism. I'm formally trained. I know what the standards are, and I aspire to try and achieve, to live up to those standards every night that I'm on here, given that we're still in a new medium, and it's a different kind of journalism. And so I'm trying to find the right balance there, but always working to meet those standards. And that's what I'm doing here tonight as well. That's why I'm kind of, also trying to, hold you to that standard too, Joseph. That's all. It's not like I'm trying to fight with you. I'm just saying, around here, I've got standards, and it's just because I'm old school. We need that more than ever now.
Certainly don't hold that against you, or I wouldn't have called in.
And I respect your views and your expertise, and that's why I keep having you back, because you're valuable.
Yeah, I love you, brother. I really, 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 really got to go now.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Have a good one. See you. Bye. All right. Let's take a break, because Joseph and I, we agree. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. What a business. let's just pivot over, shall we, a little bit here. I got a couple of good stories here for you. Now, we're back up here in Canada now, but for our American friends, you're going to want to see this because I know how much everybody loves Justin Trudeau. He's lost another one. Yeah, Marco Mendicino. Let me show you. This is a. I mean, this is a big deal. Marco Mendicino. Here's his picture right here. Cabinet minister, not going to run for re-election. Major blow to Trudeau again, who's already lost his finance minister, now replaced with Dominic LeBlanc, and now Marco Mendicino, also saying that not going to run again. So they're abandoning ship. Trudeau under extreme pressure to resign, even from within his own party. And let me get the statement from Marco Mendicino up on the screen for you. And I lost his, oh, you know what? It's okay, here it is. Here's his statement on why he's not running. And it looks like the Conservatives are going to move ahead with their efforts to try to have a confidence vote and force an election this month, even before the winter break ends on January 27th. Here's his statement. There it is. Today I am announcing that I will not be seeking re-election as the member for Parliament for Eglinton Lawrence. I will continue to serve out the remainder of the session on behalf of my constituents. It has been the honor of a lifetime to be the MP for this incredible Toronto riding in Parliament for 3 consecutive terms, blah, 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 blah. What it comes down to is he says it's time to move on. And he is also very critical of the government's handling of the situation in the Middle East. He says that it's the right time for him and his family to step away, and that he will serve out the rest of his session as just a member of Parliament. And he said that the work that he's done for the community has been gratifying. He says it's no secret that I have disagreed with the current direction of the federal government on our foreign policy vis-a-vis our deteriorated relations with the State of Israel, our inadequate handling of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and our enfeebled role in the Middle East. As a matter of principle, he says, I have been consistently outspoken in my condemnation of the unjust targeting of the Jewish community, which is facing a tidal wave of anti-Semitism. And again, this is a huge blow to Trudeau because he has been one of the, more prominent members of cabinet and one of the major supporters of Trudeau throughout his administration. So to lose him after losing Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister and deputy prime minister, you can see that there are major cracks here. And it's just, I don't know how Trudeau can honestly survive beyond the Christmas break. I think that we know that he's assessing his political future. And I think that he will, if he doesn't announce it before the break ends, I think Trudeau will be coming back after the Christmas break, the winter break, and will be saying that he's stepping aside as leader of the party, and that will trigger a leadership convention, and then an election shortly after. So look for an election, I think, late spring, early summer. I've been saying that for a long time anyway. I said spring election, and I think we're just about there. There's another story brewing here too. Kind of a scandal, maybe. This involves Lion Electric, the Lion Electric school bus company, and their operations in Quebec. This is huge money, electric vehicle scandal of sorts. So let's start at the beginning. Lion Electric was once the beacon of green technology in school transportation based in Saint-Jérôme, Quebec. They aimed to electrify Canada's school buses. They were promising cleaner air and a sustainable future for our kids. And the company was backed by substantial government funding, with Quebec alone injecting around $177 million into the venture, and the federal government contributing $30 million out of a promised $50 million. This wasn't just an investment in a company, it was kind of a bet on a vision for, a greener Canada. I'm going to show you what these buses look like. But there were big problems, and this is turning out to be something of a big money controversy. Again, for the Quebec government, for the federal government, another problem for Trudeau. I'm not going to run the audio on this because I don't want a copyright strike, but here's what these electric buses were supposed to look like. The 100% electric Type C school bus. So, this is where the story takes kind of a turn. Despite the hefty public investment, Lion Electric has been facing severe financial difficulties. The company reported a net loss of $100 million in recent years, and its share price has plummeted from a high of $24.21 to mere cents. The financial strain resulted in significant layoffs, with Lion Electric announcing the temporary layoff of 400 workers, which is more than half of its remaining workforce. And these layoffs weren't isolated events. They came after several rounds of job cuts, shrinking the company from 1,350 employees down to just 300. The scandal isn't just about the layoffs or the financial downturn, though. There's a darker side to this story, the potential loss of public funds. Yeah, and lots of them. With Lion Electric entering creditor protection now, there's a real risk that the government's investment might not yield the expected returns or even be recoverable, because they've been seeking creditor protection this month, or actually now last month in December. So we're talking about potentially hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars at stake, with the company's total debt standing at over $411 million. It's only like almost $500 million. So the narrative of exclusive support to Lion Electric has also raised eyebrows. Critics argue that by focusing so much on just the one company, the Quebec government might have inadvertently created a quasi-monopoly, stifling competition and possibly leading to inefficiency and poor oversight. There are whispers of favoritism, possibly, with other manufacturers feeling sidelined despite their potential to contribute to the same environmental goals. I mean, you want to talk about potential corruption. I mean, there's evidence here that, there might be some problems. Government programs, a government-fueled initiative to electrify not just the auto industry, but also the school bus industry. So what does this mean for the future? School districts that invested in Lion Electric's buses are now in a precarious position, folks. With the company's uncertain future, there are concerns about maintenance, warranty, who's going to step up if Lion can no longer service their fleet. This could disrupt school operations across Canada, especially in areas like Maine, where Lion buses are in use, but also in Quebec, where they've become a significant part of the school transportation system. Moreover, the environmental impact of this scandal is profound. Green buses. Lion Electric was central to Quebec's plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through transportation. And a failure here, they're saying, might set back the provinces and, by extension, Canada's green agenda. They might actually have to use gasoline or diesel-powered buses. Go figure. So we keep on watching this one. We will, as this unfolds as well. And if there's corruption, if there's some proof of it, we'll certainly call it out. There's talk of restructuring, potential buyers, or even the company being sold off in parts. But the big question here remains, how will this affect public trust in government? Government-backed green initiatives. This should be a big blow. And I can understand that, with all this money going down the tubes. And what lessons will be learned regarding this accountability of, regarding the accountability of public funds here when backing private ventures? Well, we'll have to wait and see if anything's learned at all. Government. So this is more than just a business story, folks. It's about governance, environmental policy, the green agenda, the future of innovation in Canada. What do you think? What do you think? Scandal, another one, developing. Not just at the federal level, but also at the provincial level in Quebec. Even locally, because you have these local school boards involved in the purchase, acquisition of these, or secure contracts paid, right? For buses that were, as I understand it, in some cases, maybe they weren't even proper prototypes created for buses that were promised and never delivered. Electric buses, school buses. Wow. So, what time is it? No, we're coming up on 9 p.m. Eastern, for those of you watching the live broadcast. I don't know what time it is if you're watching the rerun. It can be any time you want it to be. Time is a construct. I promised to show you at the end of the broadcast tonight a drone video. A lot of talking about people getting scared. Yeah, everybody's still focused on these drones. Oh, the aliens are coming. Project Bluebeam. Well, I've got a drone for you. This one's going to scare the crap out of you, I think. Hang on a second here. Let's go to our next caller. Hang on. I'm going to take a little break. You're not going to want to miss this drone. This drone is like heavy duty, man. I'm telling you, this is the best drone footage I've come across so far. Do not go away. Do not touch that dial. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 because the program's not over.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, and John from Alberta is on the line. He wants to hold my feet to the fire, debate with me, and fight.
No. Happy New Year, everybody. Rimby John out of Western Canada, Alberta. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm great. How are you, John? Are you going to beat me up tonight too?
No,
I think
I
actually
love you too much.
I was kind of beating Joseph up a little bit there. Sorry, Joseph. We love you, man.
All good fun. I had to call in about the electric bus situation in Quebec. Well, there's a similar horror story out of Alberta. The Edmonton transit system, they purchased, I think, 40 or 50 electric buses.
Yep.
The company has now gone bankrupt. It's a complete disaster. They owe the city of Edmonton, I think it's 1.5 or it's north of $1 million. But the 40 or 50 buses they bought, I've ridden them the odd time. They can't get any mechanics to work on the buses in the dead of winter, and they also weigh like 3,000 tons. I mean, they're just absolutely monstrous to get down the streets in Edmonton. They have about a 3 or 4 hour charge in the dead of winter. They're just a complete off-grid nightmare to service them, and it takes it's a ridiculous amount of time to recharge them.
Yes.
I mean, it's absolutely beyond ridiculous. Where the old fossil fuel diesel bus runs on a full tank of diesel from like 6 o'clock in the morning till like midnight.
Yeah. In fact, we've, you may recall, we've discussed this before on the program. I think you called in to talk about it once before, and yeah, it's a big problem because I think the city, I think they bought 60 of those buses at a cost of about $60 million. And now you're quite right. They, the manufacturer went bankrupt. It was a company called Proterra, and they went bankrupt. And now, of course, they have maintenance issues with those buses, and they've sued the manufacturer, I believe, for $82 million for damages because of underperformance, and then of course these other issues. And initially, I think they sued them for like $1 million and a half, something like that, and then now that lawsuit has ballooned into an $82 million litigation.
Well, and even I'm just going on memory here. I think even Premier Daniel Smith of Alberta has weighed into it maybe a year or 2 years ago that just an absolute complete financial disaster. So they have no electric buses in Red Deer, Alberta. They don't plan to have them. They don't have any in Calgary. Edmonton, I don't know if it was kind of a test project city, but it's been not even a partial success. It's been a complete financial disaster. Of course, a lot of this too, it's taxpayer money that's been funded into all these different. I mean, I got nothing against. I'm in the oil business. I'm a mineral owner. I have nothing against alternative fuels, whether it's electric, wind, solar. The fact of the matter is, a lot of the technology, it doesn't work in Alberta. It may work somewhere else, but it just doesn't. And here's the other thing that really pisses me off as an oil man out of Alberta. Why does the world poop all over the oil and gas industry around the world? God gave it to us to utilize. And like I say, the old Edmonton buses that are diesel, now they do have natural gas too. I've got just remembering here. And those seem to be not too bad. They got natural gas in Red Deer. But the old diesel fossil fuel, she runs from 6 o'clock in the morning till midnight on a full tank with minimal downtime on maintenance. And in Edmonton, they can't get any mechanics to work on these electric buses to fix them. They've got, I think, a whole bunch broken down in the yards up there in Edmonton. And if you've ever ridden on one, they make a funny sound. The battery on the bus, it's on the lower end of the bus. I don't know how many 1,000 pounds it weighs, but it's just an economic nightmare to try and push it down the streets in Edmonton.
Yeah, well, they need, specific kinds of mechanics to work on them. They can't get parts because the company's out of business, so some of the stuff they need to keep these things up and running, not readily available. So they need to find alternatives and deal with it. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to do it, but if you're a diesel mechanic, it doesn't mean you automatically know how to fix an electric bus. This is a big problem. And if the company's out of business, they can't provide support and maintenance.
Well, Rick, the other thing too, I would like to know, you could maybe Google it, the weight difference between a regular diesel passenger bus transit and then the weight on the electric. The electric, it's got to weigh another 25,000 pounds more. And that rips up the roads. That's another road maintenance issue, that another hidden cost.
You know what, John? I don't understand why you have to have battery-powered buses. Because these are municipal buses, right? So why don't they just have streetcars? Like, this is old technology. You want to run them on electricity, just put in the wires or, and run. They still have streetcars in Toronto and other cities. They've been around like forever and a day. Proven technology. You don't have to charge them up. The electricity is always there in the wires, and they run down the road. They could just do that. No lithium ion, old technology achieves exactly the same thing. Now you have the wires to deal with. There might even be other ways to get the power to the streetcars, maybe through the road somehow. I don't know, but this seems to me to be a no-brainer. Why do you need battery-powered buses when you could just run streetcars? They could run all day, all night, nonstop. You don't have to stop and charge them. You don't have any batteries, no extreme costs for lithium-ion battery replacement after so many, months or years of use. It would save a crap load of money. It would be better for the environment because you don't need to worry about disposal of the old batteries or recycling any of that stuff. They don't weigh as much. Doesn't that make more sense, or am I missing something?
No, I don't think you're missing anything at all. My lawyer out in Stettler, Brenda, on her farm, they've got those big wind turbines out there. One went down, and then there's hundreds of them, and they fought it just east of Stettler, Alberta. And one of them came crashing down maybe about 2 months ago. The whole thing is shut down. It's just a nightmare. And of course, that's wind turbines, eh?
Well, I guess in a big city like maybe Edmonton, Calgary, even Red Deer, it's probably probably suburbs, and maybe it's difficult to run the lines all the way down. You'd have to have, I guess, if you wanted to do all your routes, not just in the downtown area, you'd have a lot of lines to run, and they can be a little unsightly, I guess. But
well, and I'm just remembering, Rick, I think about 10 years ago, the city of Ottawa was looking at doing a massive expansion on LRT, and the cost of it, the billions to put the LRT infrastructure in versus keeping their diesel buses. Ottawa, Ontario, Canada has one of the most economic bus systems in North America, and it doesn't run flawlessly, but it's one of the top probably 5 transit systems in North America, and they didn't convert just because the difference in the money was going to be, the people in Ottawa never really been able to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, do you want to watch this this drone video with me?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to close the program out with this. Okay, so everybody's worried about drones, right? Because the aliens are coming to eat our brains or something.
Well, you do know, Rick, it all goes back to the CIA.
That's
Rickster.
Right. That's right. Yeah, it's always the CIA and the FBI and ABC with CNN and I don't know, and the FSB and I don't know. Are we missing any other lettered agencies? Oh, the IRS.
Well, you got to throw in Sasquatch, Rick.
Oh, yeah, Sasquatch too. Well, this is a drone footage that I came across that's a little bit different, very unusual, but this actually made me smile. So I want to share this with you tonight because this is a drone doing a good deed. You want to talk about orphans? You want to talk about the underprivileged? What about a bunch of stray cats starving to death? Well, whoever's behind this drone, maybe it's the aliens delivering this, but check this out. These are stray cats. So this is a drone made out of a dish, and they filled it full of cat food, and they delivered it to the rooftop where these stray cats live. It's the aliens. Aww. Those little kitties. Orphan kitty cats. Don't let Cosmo near them.
Well, that's an animal lover, Rick. Somebody really do that. That's quite ingenious.
Isn't that great?
It's awesome, Rickster, but I'll give you one better than that. These farmers in Saskatchewan, they run these expensive drones. They delivered one of their brothers a couple of Pilsner beer on the swather. Dropped a couple of Pilsner beer right down on the cab of the swather.
Hey, John, I got to hang up because I've got another call coming in.
Okay, so, let you go. Bye-bye. Okay, love you guys. Peace.
All right, who's on the line now?
Hey, Rick, it's Maureen.
Hey, are you watching the cats? Isn't this great? This is the best drone ever.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love this. I'm not even a cat person, but I love this. I'm a dog person.
Oh, that's so
What a good deed to do.
I was watching a drone video last night in China. I believe it was China. And did you see it? It was a dragon.
Oh, yeah. We showed that on the show here. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we did. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, but this video, that is precious.
Oh, this is so good. Oh my God. Yeah, see? Now we know what all those drones over New Jersey are. It's
there you go.
It's
they're feeding the pet.
what do they call it? I don't do the service where they deliver the food. What do they call those things? Not deal a meal. what do they call these things? Not Uber. It's I can't remember. Whatever those services are, they deliver the food to your door wherever you order it from, like McDonald's or whatever. So
Get the
The only thing is, I don't think these cats tip. Well, anyway, there you go. Well, I'm glad you called in to help me close off the show tonight. Anything else you want to add as a final thought?
No, well, the thing about Trudeau resigning, stepping down, I think he's going to pull a Biden and just not run for re-election, wait out it, finish his term, and then let Canada fight over Pierre and Jagmeet.
Yeah. So you think he's going to step down, when? Over the Christmas break, or when?
No, he's not going to step down. He's going to finish his term.
Oh, okay.
And then, like Biden did, right? Biden just said, "Well, I won't run for re-election."
You can't really do that. It doesn't really work that way.
Oh, it doesn't, eh?
No, because he has to step aside to make room for a new leader who would then run in the election as just like a candidate in their riding. And then if whatever party wins the election, like has the most seats, then the leader of that party becomes the prime minister if they manage to get elected in their riding. But in Canada, we don't vote for the prime minister, right? We just vote for the member of parliament that we want in our riding.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he can't just kind of linger there. It doesn't really work that way at all. Totally different system.
Darn. I honestly don't think he's going to step down. He's going to fight to the bitter end. He's a spoiled brat, right? So
yeah,
he's not going to go. He's not going to go quietly.
Yeah, you might be right. You know, you could be right.
He'll put up a fight because that's just the way he is.
The only reason I think he's going to step aside is because there is so much pressure from within the party itself now, and even from within his cabinet. And you have people like Freeland and now Mendocino, and there have been others over the last couple of months that have left, right? These are key people. And so now he's kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to round out his current cabinet. And it's not an all-star cast anymore, that's for sure. So you're seeing real pressure on him from like powerful people from within caucus, from within the party itself. He's probably lost half his support. So it's going to be difficult for him to hang on now.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I just, God bless Canada, I guess.
Yeah. It's, in my view, this is a very good thing. He has to go. He needs, see, even during the pandemic and the Freedom Convoy and all of that stuff, in my view, there were mistakes made there in the way that these things were handled. And there was a lot of division created within the country. And if you're a true leader, then what you do at that point is you accept responsibility and you step aside and you create a clean slate and allow the country to move forward. He didn't do that. Now the country has suffered since then, ever since. It's more and more divided, and the country's suffering. His own party is suffering now. So he's just lingered. He's hung on too long. And he's young, so he could have come back. But if he damages himself so much through this, he may not have the option of ever coming back to politics because his reputation may be so tainted, so stained in the long run. But if you think back, his father, took that walk in the snow, resigned, but he came back. Right. He came back later. You can make a comeback in Canada like that. It's a different system than in the States. And he's young, and I would have expected him to sort of step aside, do something else in the background for a while, then in a few years maybe circle around and come back again. And he could have done that, but that's just you're right in this regard. He's hanging on to the bitter end, and I just think we're there.
Yeah. Did you see the one post there? They're eating the cats. I'm telling you, they're eating the cats.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore. But I just don't think Trudeau's going to go down quietly.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're getting right now. Is he's squeaking and squealing like a stuck pig. He's not going quietly, but it's coming, I think. Anyway, thank you for calling in tonight. We got to wrap up here.
Yeah, and, you bet.
I really appreciate your phone call.
Okay, thanks, Rick.
Right, take care. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, you bet. Bye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sign off. The cats, thank you for joining us here on Maverick News tonight. And thank you especially to Joseph for engaging with me tonight. And thank you to John. Thank you to all of you. Thank you all the way around. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on the flip side. Bye, cats.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.